Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 12th March, Sunday. The news items that we have picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 20. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, BJP rides Modi wave to win big in UP. So we have been discussing about 5 states in which assembly elections were held. You must have seen the results now. So BJP has won in UP and Uttarakhand. In Punjab, Congress has won. In Goa and Manipur, there is a fractured mandate, means Congress is falling short of halfway. You need at least 50% of the seats to form the government there, and even in Manipur. So both states, both political parties, Congress and BJP, have not reached the halfway mark. So Congress is also falling short as well as BJP. So we'll have to wait and watch. Congress is in a little lead. You can see out of 40 seats, you need at least 20. In Goa, Congress got 17, BJP got 13. So similarly in Manipur also, Congress won 28, little less. BJP won 21. So a coalition would be formed. So they'll take support from smaller political parties and form a government. So who forms the government, we'll have to wait and watch. The next news item is 12 killed as Maoists ambush CRPF personnel in Sukma. So this Sukma is the district in Chhattisgarh in near the Andhra Pradesh border. So here CRPF, Central Reserve Police Force personnel, were killed by Maoists. So they had triggered landmines and opened fire indiscriminately, means they had shooted these personnel as such and they got killed. So Maoist problem, Naxal's problem is still there in these regions. The next news item is monkeys wreak havoc with crops in Himachal Pradesh. So man-animal conflict we have been seeing with respect to this and biodiversity and environment, and how human-animal conflict is to be resolved is an issue. So we had seen about elephants also, human-elephants conflict. This is about monkeys destroying crops in Himachal Pradesh. It has led to a loss of over 184.28 crores in 1 year, last 1 year. So these are rhesus macaque monkeys species who are creating trouble here. So the government has taken some steps. They had set up few parks across the state to house these animals, but it has failed. It has not resulted in them causing lesser loss. There are suggestions coming of killing. Culling here means killing these monkeys or exporting these monkeys for biomedical research, but this culling is strongly opposed by animal rights groups. So this is a concern here. The next is India-Pakistan spar over Asim Anand. So Swami Asim Anand, he has been acquitted recently by NIA, National Investigation Agency. So he is accused in Ajmer Sharif blast case. So in Ajmer Sharif there was a bomb blast which took place. Here the NIA acquitted him, means it let him go scot-free on the basis of benefit of doubt. So there's no clear evidence, so he cannot be charged under this. So Pakistan has protested strongly against this. It has also said that he was the mastermind of the Samjhauta Express terrorist attack. So this Samjhauta Express was a train which was from India to POK, Pakistan. It was reaching there. So across in the POK. So here the Samjhauta Express saw a terrorist attack, a blast, and Swami Asim Anand had confessed to it. He had given a statement that he was the mastermind behind this, and he also said that a serving Indian Army officer, Colonel Purohit, was his accomplice. So they had together planned this and accomplished this. But then that is why Pakistan is protesting against his going scot-free. And India has also lodged its protest over the ceasefire violations along the LOC. So line of control, there's a ceasefire in place, means there would be no cross-firing, but there are cross-firings taking place from the Pakistani side, firing that is protested against. The next news item is the lowdown on bill to regulate surrogacy. So this surrogacy regulation bill we have already seen in detail. It allows altruistic surrogacy, means surrogacy for in good faith, for the benefit of someone else, not for the sake of money. So commercial surrogacy is rampant in India presently. Once this bill becomes an act, commercial surrogacy will not be allowed. You cannot be paid for lending your womb. So surrogacy, we have already discussed what is it, that a woman undertakes that she'll bear the child, means for 9 months a child will be bare in this woman's womb. She is not the mother of that child because genetically she is not contributing. So means the egg and the sperms the mating which takes place, that is not taking place, that woman is not involved. That can be artificially done to, or some other person's embryo which is there is placed in this mother's womb. So that's what takes place. So this surrogacy here, India has become a hub, commercial hub, because many underprivileged women found this as an option, that they can rent their wombs and they can make money out of it and meet their family's expenses like marriages, education of their children, some hospitalization expenses or something. So they had this alternative, an avenue to earn. So now the demand, as there was availability of these womb ready to be rented, there was demand also, and then middlemen came up who would make these two parties meet and take up a huge chunk in between. So that is why this commercial surrogacy bred, and there were issues involved too. So that is important. These issues involved were many women filed police complaints that they have not received the payment which was due to them. Then in 2008 there was this case of a Japanese couple who had undertaken surrogacy procedure. They had hired this mother from Gujarat, a woman from Gujarat, and before the child could be born, while she was bearing the child, this couple split, and then they did not want the child. So what happens to such a child? Then in 2012, there was this case of an Australian couple who had again commissioned a surrogate mother, and later, when twins were born, they decided to take one of them. So what happens to the other one? So these concerns were also there. Earlier, we also saw that in the case of a German couple here, because their country did not recognize child born out of surrogacy, and India would not also give that child born here Indian citizenship. So the child remained citizenshipless. He did not have citizenship of any country. Then they adopted the child as such. So procedure of adoption was done, and they adopted, and then Germany gave the child a citizenship. So these concerns do come up. So key provisions of this bill we have already discussed. Here it's given in a little more detail. Certificate of essentiality means the child, they have to, essentiality of undergoing surrogacy, undertaking surrogacy means the couple is infertile. That has been, certificate of infertility is to be taken from district medical board. An order of parentage and custody of the surrogate child, that they will be the parents and they'll take the custody of the child, that will be taken from the magistrate's court. And insurance cover has to be given for the surrogate mother, that if anything happens, insurance is there for the so essentiality certificate. Then eligibility certificate is that this couple who is undertaking surrogacy should have been married for at least 5 years, female age 25 to 50 years, male age within the age group 26 to 55 years. They should not have any surviving child, biological, adopted, or surrogate. So if they have no child, they can undertake this. And one exception is given, that if the child is mentally or physically challenged or suffers from some life-threatening disorder or illness, then or there's exception given that they can undertake surrogacy. Then conditions for surrogates. The woman who is becoming a surrogate here, she should be only a close relative of the couple, who is able to provide medical fitness certificate, that she is medically fit to be a surrogate mother. She should be married and with a child of her own, and she must be between 25 to 35 years of age, and she can be a surrogate mother only once in her lifetime. So these are the conditions put on surrogates too. Of course, concerns are raised here because it does not allow single women, single men, gay couples to undertake surrogacy. Even foreigners are allowed, NRIs, PIOs are allowed. So this is not allowed. So that is also there, because commercial surrogacy was basically fueled by them. Majorly, you can see the examples we took up are also of foreigners. So under this new bill, once it comes into effect, foreigners would not be able to have surrogacy in India. And also single women, men in India will not have this avenue. Even those who already have a child will not have this. As such, we are seeing many examples recently about Karan Johar, a single man having through surrogacy, having a twins. Then this about gay couples also, they would not be allowed. So this is the point. One major concern raised is that the norms are quite stringent. So under such stringent norms, that the commercialization cannot be allowed. So even for transplantation of human organs, like human organs being donated, the similar kind of provisions are there, that it should be for altruistic purposes. But then it is seen that commercial aspect still thrives. So regulation and stringent laws are there, but in implementation, if there is no strict regulation, then of course that aspect, implementation is not that effective. So that aspect is highlighted. The similar thing may happen for this bill also. Then the next news item is who launched a website for vaccines. So this is a website launched by World Health Organization. This is called Vaccine Safety Net. This is the ID provided. So this is to provide doctors, parents and others access to accurate and trustworthy information about vaccines. So this was launched in 2003, and this net is a global network of vaccine safety websites who have been evaluated by, approved by World Health Organization. So a need for this had come up because there are many instances when safety about vaccines is doubted and there are rumors, and because of the rumors, then the vaccine is not provided to the targeted population and it results in the disease occurring. So this recent example is of Tamil Nadu too, where there are rumors about the safety of the vaccine for measles rubella. So this vaccination drive in Feb 2017 here resulted in only 50% of the children getting vaccinated. So that was for the age group 9 months to 15 years that this was targeted. So this is because of wrong, misleading and unbalanced information about vaccine safety doing the rounds. And we presently, World Health Organization here also, they say that people take recourse to the internet. They go online to search about the safety of vaccine. So there is a need for some authentic official information available. That is why this vaccine safety net has been established. And this is a concern globally, not just in India, because earlier too it has been seen that even in Lancet, a paper published. So this is an international magazine in which a paper was published in 1998, which says that MMR vaccine, measles, mumps and rubella vaccine, when this vaccine is given, it can induce autism in children. So such papers were also retracted later in 2010 because this creates doubts amongst the people, and then they would not go ahead for this vaccination. And then we have seen measles outbreaks in UK and US, Canada also. So this is a concern internationally as such. Then the next news item is Indian researcher uses novel strategy to increase wheat yield. So this Indian researcher has used a precursor which enhances the amount of a key sugar signaling molecule in wheat plant, that is T6P. So when genetic method is also used, T6P levels increase 2 to 3-fold. But when these precursor compounds were used, 100-fold increase in this T6P level was evident, and that is why starch content increased and the yield is improved. Also, these plants are able to withstand drought. Means if water is not provided, experiments were conducted, water not provided for 9 days and then provided with water, they still survived compared to normal plants which are not, having these precursors to them, inserted into them. So this is a research being done. The next is new clone of MRSA identified in Kerala aquatic environment. So this is methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. So this is actually a bacteria which is resistant. You can see it is methicillin resistant. So this leads to many diseases like skin infections, boils, etc. So even so this has to be treated, and it is resistant to wide range of drugs. And presently what has been found is a clone, an identical clone of this, which is in Kochi. So this is unique to the seafood and aquatic environment in Kochi. So these scientists had found when they were screening the seafood here, the fish here. So this is unique to Kerala and has been found. And if it is this infected fish, MRSA infected fish is consumed, then there is potential health hazard. So directly if you consume the fish, it does not affect your health, because this becomes a concern after it produces this enterotoxin in the food. So if it is later, so it's not an immediate threat, but after the enterotoxin is produced in the food by them, then it may become a threat. So it's not confirmed that it would, if you are eating food contaminated, seafood contaminated by MRSA, you would be suffering from infections and diseases. But only if the toxin has been produced by MRSA too, then it will be infectious. Then the next news item is study on fish reveals key to cure blindness. So this is zebrafish. So zebrafish has been in news quite often. This is a small fish, you can see, with black and white lines, stripes. So this zebrafish is known to be able to repair and regrow If its tail is cut, it can regrow it. If its heart is damaged, it can regenerate it. If its spinal cord is damaged, it can regenerate it. This is about it can regenerate its retina. That can also be cured. So blindness can be cured. So researchers are studying about this, and this one finding shows that the level of GABA is a neurotransmitter. So this level of GABA is responsible for this regeneration process taking place in the zebrafish. So what is GABA also, we'll just look at it. So in the nervous system, in the brain, you have this neurotransmitters. So there are two neurotransmitters. One is GABA and one is glutamate. So GABA is inhibitory neurotransmitter, means inhibits, means it relaxes, eases the neurotransmission, nervous signal transmission. So that is like a red signal, stop. And glutamate is excitatory neurotransmitter. So it says go, neurotransmission is favored. It takes place at a higher pace. So both are there present and they regulate neurotransmissions. So that is the neurotransmitter. So what happens in zebrafish is that when the regeneration and repair is taking place, it is seen that GABA concentration is low. So red signal is low, means neurotransmission at a quicker pace is favored, GABA is kept low. So this helps in the regeneration process kicking in. So this is one aspect which has been found. So the scientists here say that it may be possible that if GABA neurotransmission is brought down through some injected drugs, then the neurotransmission can take place at a faster pace, and in humans also it may be possible that regeneration process kicks in. So that is a research on which they are working and trying to prove its how effective it is. So this is a research you can see here. So in zebrafish, if the heart is affected, myocardial infarction, heart attack takes place, heart tissues are affected. In zebrafish also, if something similar happens, it can regenerate. In humans, it results in fibrosis, so it aggravates, the problem aggravates. But there are animals which can regenerate. This is neonatal mouse. Even in case of fin, losing its fin, it can regenerate. So that is there. An interesting animal, zebrafish. So this is about GABA receptor 2, found in almost every region of the brain, main inhibitory neurotransmitter in the central nervous system. The next news item is time for men to stand up and be counted. So this is regarding a hormonal injectable contraceptive which has been recently introduced in the India's national program on family planning. So for family planning, presently what are the methods used are majorly it is female sterilization, which we have been discussing in news quite often about Chhattisgarh incident too, in which many deaths also took place. So female is permanently sterilized. 75% cases are about these. Then condoms are used. 10% condoms, birth control pills are used, and intrauterine devices. So this is shown here, the percentage of their usage. Presently, this hormonal injectable contraceptives have been introduced. So means hormones injected so that childbirth does not take place, family planning initiative. So this is controversial because there are many safety issues, concerns there about this injectable contraceptives. There are many side effects which take place like menstrual irregularities, migraine, headaches, abdominal cramps, even bone regeneration. Osteoporosis can also take place. This has come up in a recent US FDA warning too, that it has validated that this is possible, that osteoporosis effects can take place after this injection. So that is why warnings are required, consent is required, informed consent. Okay, only the woman says, yes, I'll take these injections, no, but she should be informed that what are the side effects, what are the possible consequences, and then she gives her consent. She says yes to it. So that is what it is, that the article says that it's the woman which bear the burden of family planning. It is tubectomy, which is generally undertaken, fallopian tube, as female sterilization, not vasectomy, whereas vasectomy is much more simpler. So the procedure which we had recently seen, in which 13 women died, this 2014 incident in Chhattisgarh, this laparoscopic surgeon R.K. Gupta, he undertook surgery of around how many 110 women died, 110, this 83 patients. He undertook surgery of these 83 patients while using the same sutures, syringes and gloves. and less in like one minute he had conducted these surgeries, which resulted in life-threatening infections for these patients, and many of them died. So such incidents also come forth. That is why it is required that it should not be only females who should bear the brunt. Time for men to stand up and be counted. So that is there. It says vasectomy is not so deep. This here you have, it is in depth, insertion required, and then surgery can take place. But vasectomy is much more simpler, quicker recovery is possible. But still, sterilization is done on women, not on men. So that is what it's all about. So this you can see, simpler, faster, less expensive. The next news item is insights into jumping genes. So this is regarding Alzheimer's. That in Alzheimer's, what happens actually in this disease is these clumps of protein, amyloid plaques and tau tangles, they grow in the brain, and the protein strands here twist and damage the brain cells. So these are proteins developing, twisting and damaging neurons. Brain cells die and that area of the brain shrinks, and that is why Alzheimer's disease is there, in which you see many concerns like dementia, loss of memory, and such things take place. So these US scientists have identified a mechanism which affecting the neurons much before this Alzheimer's crops in. So before the amyloid clamps also appear, these proteins here. So what is this is in the genetic aspect here. So human genes are critical for healthy functioning of the cells. So neuron cells too, in every cell there are these mitochondria. So mitochondria are the energy factories of the cells. So here these mitochondria are riddled by mobile chunks of these DNA. Mobile means they can move. So in DNA, we'll see these are ALU elements which can jump. So these are called jumping genes. So when these jumping genes are present as such in the human genes critical for healthy functioning of mitochondria, then it can lead to supplies of energy to brain cells, reducing loss of neurons taking place, ultimately dementia, Alzheimer's disease. So these jumping genes are the key to understand that whether Alzheimer's would take place or not. So that is here, it's shown. So these are called transposons, jumping genes. So what happens is in the strand of DNA which you have, there are various genes present on the DNA. So DNA is comprising of this number of genes. So there are sequences of genes. So there's sequence and end sequence, and then this is transposon enzyme. So these transposons can jump. You can see here from one gene they can jump, they come out and they jump and change their position. So these are the key. So this has already been identified. The scientist who identified this has already been awarded Nobel Prize in 1983. So these transposons, sections of genome that undergo transposition within the genome of the same cell, which may cause mutations. So they jump, and they cause mutations. So this is being studied to understand whether Alzheimer's would crop in or not, and taking further action on it. So this is mitochondria present in the cell. So this is one of the organelles in the cell. It is double membrane having its own DNA and is the powerhouse of the cell. So this transfers energy into ATP, which can be used as energy for the cell. So it's present in eukaryotic cells, the higher order cells, not in prokaryotic cells. The next news item is, what are time crystals? So these time crystals are actually presently hypothetical structures that have movement without expending energy. Means even if they are in their lowest energy state, at the ground state as it is called, they can still appear to have movement. So crystals, crystals present are in space. Crystals formed as a structure. These are time crystals, means they have same rigid petal and they are arrayed in time. So as the time they keep moving. So that's what it is, time crystals. So this has been first proposed by a Nobel Prize winning physicist in 2012. And now scientists have found that they could actually exist too. They might actually be possible to they physically exist. So this is a research going on, and they say that if this is found that time crystals do exist, then it would be a leap forward in quantum computing. So these are said to be the next evolutionary step in data storage. So what are these time crystals and quantum computing? We'll look in detail. So you can see this is an ordinary crystal arrayed in space. So arrangement is in space, that taking up space and they are formed. Time crystals are this arrangement which are moving ahead with time. So as time goes on, they are moving ahead and ahead. So this repetition in time is just like revolution around the sun of the earth. So here you can see that earth movement is with time. So a similar pattern repeated with time. So that is time crystals. So these are being studied now, and we'll see if they actually exist or not. And quantum computers. Quantum computers are machines which can perform calculations based on quantum mechanics. So that is quantums, which is the subatomic level, particles at the subatomic level. So what are these particles at subatomic level also you can see. So this is like classical, binary digits, classical bit. Binary digit is in short called bit. So this is 0 or 1. So it can have a value 0 or 1. So that's how computing takes place. Computers understand this language, binary language, 0 or 1. So these traditional bits are replaced by these quantum bits. So in quantum bits, what happens? They are called qubits. So this is bit, this is qubits. So in qubits, you can have 0 and 1 simultaneously also. There's a vast number of array of possibilities which are there. So qubits exist in a state of superposition. Means they can be in two states at once rather than being a single, either 1 or 0. So that can be used, means it's exponentially powerful and can be used to solve computer challenges at much faster pace than normal computers can. So those are the key to supercomputers actually, quantum computing. So you can see here. So difference, what is the difference basically? So this is the smallest unit of information, bit, in current computers. A value can be either 0 or 1. And in qubit, it can take values simultaneously. It can be 0 and 1 simultaneously. So that's why it can store multiple times. So each qubit can have multiple values, means multiple possibilities are there, and that's why simultaneous operations can take place using the same qubits, and that is why the power of computers increases. Those are supercomputers. So this is possible also because of these quantums. So based on its location on the sphere. So if top is 1 and bottom is 0, so based on its location on the sphere, you can see a huge array of possibilities are there. So yeah, it is given here. If it's pointing here, then 1 is 70% and 0 is 30%. So like that, multiple combinations are possible. So that is qubits. The next news item is BrahMos missile test fired. So BrahMos, which has been jointly developed by India and Russia, Brahmaputra and Moscow, the two prominent rivers of the two countries, give this its name. So this is a supersonic cruise missile which India has successfully inducted in its army and the navy, and the Air Force version is in the final stages of its trials. India and Russia are together planning to even export this to third countries. So that's what it is, BrahMos supersonic cruise missile. So presently, again, a test fire has been successfully done. It is capable of carrying 300 kg warhead. So test firing was done. So that is the news here. You can see supersonic cruise missile, 290 kilometer range. It are agreeing to sell BrahMos to friendly third world countries also and export it to. So India is planning to export it to various countries. You can see here mentioned. Inducted into Army, Navy and Air Force will also soon have it. Supersonic means more than the speed of sound. So Mach 1 is the speed of sound. It's Mach 2.8 at which it goes. So fire and forget capabilities are there. Means it fires and forgets, it will reach its target. So that is there. The next news item is oil payments to Iran exempted from tax. So with respect to Iran, we import huge amount of crude oil from Iran. It is a major contributor. And even when Iran had sanctions imposed on it by USA, India was still importing oil from Iran, and it was done through banks which had come forth, which did not have huge presence in USA. So they could undertake these transactions, payments to be done to Iran for the oil imported. Because any bank or any entity, public sector, private sector, government affiliated, anybody who is dealing with Iran cannot deal with USA. So that's how US sanctions are imposed, and presently also we are seeing similar situation being present. So presently to IndusInd Bank has come forward to facilitate all Iran related transactions. So what happens here is that Iran is being paid through this bank, and in what mode should they be paid? So rupee based payments have also been allowed earlier. So then that means that there will be a rupee account too. This rupee payment mechanism you can see. So a rupee account would also be there through which it would be paid. So that's what the money is there in the rupee amount. So that's why government has presently given exemption that withholding tax would not be applicable on this national Iranian oil company's income which it receives in India in Indian rupees for sale of crude oil to any entity in India. So no withholding tax would be applicable on it, and of course some constraints have been put in that it does not have any other commercial presence or activity going in, and it can have this withholding tax exemption on it. So this will encourage oil companies to take payment in rupee through rupee payment mechanism too. Plus, it would encourage them to have transactions with the country. So that is why they have initiated this process. So withholding tax also specifically means a tax which comes on the interest or dividend which is accrued. So when they have this money in these accounts, of course, the rupee payment mechanism, so they will have interest being paid too. So there will be no taxation on that. And this is huge amount of money involved. It's for sale of crude oil. So even the interest will be huge, and then the tax on it exemption is important. So that's what it is, encouraging Iranian oil companies to have rupee payment mechanism used, because presently also funds under rupee payment mechanism are going down. Plus payment in foreign exchange with Iran is yet not stabilized because banks have to come forward for this, and not many banks are coming forward because US sanctions threat is still there. So this fear is still there about it. So that is there. Then it's also talking about Vostro and Nostro accounts. So these Vostro accounts are operational for export to Iran. So they may come up for imports also, means exports and imports to Iran. So we have exports to Iran too and imports also, and majorly of course it would be crude oil, which is the major import commodity in the bilateral trade with Iran. So these you can see Vostro means, these are Italian terms. Nostro means ours and Vostro means yours. So we are having Vostro, your account for exports to Iran. We are having one account, Vostro account. So through this payments can be done. So holding your money and holding our money, that way. So for money of Iranians can be held. So in these Vostro accounts, they hold your money. We are paying through this. The next news item is non-lapsable funds sought for arms buy. So this is Indian Armed Forces. They are asking, Ministry of Defense is asking the Ministry of Finance that this budget allocation which is done for armed forces should be non-lapsable. Presently it lapses. How allocation done every year through the budget lapses for every ministry. Means if you have not used till the end of the financial year, then it lapses. But since defense acquisitions and these capital acquisitions which are done, they are long term and they require money to be there with them, what allocation has been done. So delays and such process takes a lot of time. So that is why Ministry of Defense has given this proposal that non-lapsable capital fund account should be initiated for them, so that money does not go back if it's not utilized. So this is a recommendation given, as we have recently also seen about the Parliamentary Committee on Defense, which is highlighting about the budget allocation being to the defense sector being quite low. So this is a proposal put forth to ensure that fund stays with the Ministry of Defense and does not lapse. Then the next news item is, in Fukushima, radioactive bores pose a new threat. So this is in Fukushima, where 6 years ago in 2011 a nuclear disaster took place and people have been evacuated from this region. But the boars here, the pigs here and the boars here, the animals here actually are suffering from the radioactive they have become radioactivity, they have become toxic, and they are freely roaming in this region, and that is why they are threat to the residents also, because since the city regions have been deserted, they have occupied the homes of these people too, and the pets, livestock here have gone out. So that is why this is becoming a threat now, which will affect the population if the interaction comes forth. Even boars are a delicacy in Japan too. So that is why this is a concern. So how they have to be tackled is being looked into. So culling, or what steps would be taken. Even they say graveyards are full, there is no more place to bury them as well. So that is what Japan is facing right now. So Fukushima nuclear disaster, you should know about it, that this took place in 2011 after a tsunami struck the power supply and the cooling system in this Fukushima nuclear plant 1. And that is why an explosion took place, because the cooling system, so it becomes superheated, and that is why this explosion took place and a huge amount of contaminated water, radioactive contaminated water entered into the sea also, and there was massive atmospheric emission too, which is still remained for a few days in the atmosphere. So this you can see, because it becomes quite hot, the molten fuel burned, and the disaster struck. So here, this is the Fukushima nuclear disaster, the worst nuclear accident since the Chernobyl accident of 1986. The Chernobyl nuclear disaster of 1986 was because of a safety experiment being undertaken. So in this safety experiment, the mechanism was shut down. Safety mechanism was shut down for maintenance for some time, and there was no connectivity or no coordination between the experiment being undertaken, safety experiment being undertaken, and the actual functioning of the nuclear reactors. And the way the safety mechanism was also undertaken was not as per the codes, which resulted in the safety mechanism purposely being shut. And this entire disaster being triggered, chain of events took place, in the reactor overheated, and it resulted in an explosion, and the radioactive cloud of smoke went up to 1 kilometer into the air. So it was a major nuclear disaster affecting a huge region across North Europe. So this was in 1986. After that, thousands of tons of sand, clay, and lead were dropped to quench the fire which it had struck, and then a temporary steel concrete cover was built over the destroyed reactor. So it still contains molten nuclear fuel, around 200 tons of fuel here. So this concrete structure presently has also been replaced by a new sarcophagus. This had also come in news. We have discussed it earlier. So this is the Chernobyl nuclear disaster of 1986. So you can see late night power failure stress test was taken up hurriedly. Safety systems were deliberately turned off. An inherent reactor design flaw, reactor operators arranging the core in a manner contrary to the checklist of stress tests, all resulted into uncontrolled reaction conditions, flashed water into steam, generating a destructive steam explosion and subsequent open air graphite fire. This was the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. The next news item is US under Trump will be difficult to work with. So US has unveiled its national trade policy agenda for 2017 under Donald Trump administration, and here we see it would become difficult for India to work with USA under Donald Trump. So this policy also has this 4-point agenda which he had during his campaigning too, that are there in this policy also of 2017. These are defending national sovereignty over trade policy, that national sovereignty will prevail. Then strict enforcement of US trade laws. Using leverage to open foreign markets. So foreign markets would be opened up for USA, and negotiating new and better trade deals. So USA economy, US market would be favored. That's what it is looking forward to. India and USA have strong trade relations. US is India's second largest trading partner, while for USA, India is its 9th largest trading partner, and in trade in goods, we have a surplus. India has a surplus around $26 billion. So what would be the future relations? We'll have to wait and watch. What indication we get is that USA would be emphasizing India on opening up its markets for US agricultural products and intellectual property. Even we are at disputes are going on at WTO too. So here too, what it says that national laws would be upheld, means WTO also, when disputes come up and WTO gives its rulings which are in favor of USA and against India, in these rulings, disputes between the two countries here, it puts its pressure on India to implement, because WTO has also ruled against India. But when WTO rules against USA, in those cases, USA would not implement those rulings of WTO, saying that national sovereignty prevails, or national trade laws will prevail. So that has been the way US has been functioning so far, and it would continue as on those lines. That is expected. So one dispute here mentioned is about poultry. So India does not allow poultry imports from USA, and this dispute is at WTO, and India has lost the case at 2 stages. So again, USA is seeking punitive measures against India, and it will go with full force to open Indian market to US poultry under Trump administration. Similar push for dairy and beef products is also expected. So such steps would be taken by USA now. These are the expectations. Then India has filed a case against US at WTO for subsidizing its solar power manufacturing. So in certain US states, India has also filed a case. USA has filed a case against India when domestic procuring requirements are there in under Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission. So there USA files a case and India has filed a case against USA because in certain states similar local sourcing provisions are there. So that's what it is. So here again the disputes would continue. Also H1B visa issue is also there between the two countries. That is also a concern. And what this entire document of 2017 trade policy of USA rejects is multilateralism. So it does not want multilateralism, means these FTAs, multilateral grouping FTAs which are there. In USA has already withdrawn from NAFTA and TPP. Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. So these have been withdrawn from. So what it favors is not multilateralism but bilateral trade as such. So that's what it is about. So emphasis is on sovereignty, means USA would not abide by WTO decisions that are not in its favor. So USA already has a very poor record of enforcing WTO decisions that are against it anyway. So that would continue. Then the next news item is regulator spots sick tea gardens. So this is tea regulator, Tea Board of India. So it has completed a survey of large tea estates in the country. So here sick tea estates would be, tea gardens would be identified and shops would be given to them, initiatives taken, because when these tea gardens go sick, the workers here are affected. There are reports of deaths in tea gardens. They are starving and they are abandoned by owners. So of course owners are the rich people of these tea gardens, but the workers who are working are poor. And when the owners abandon, then the workers also suffer because they lose their job. So that is why now government is stepping in here to take care and revive this sick tea gardens. So spotting has been the first step taken. That future what policy should be there will be decided now. So that initiative has been taken. So there are tea gardens here in the north as well as in the south. So Assam, Himachal Pradesh, Tripura, West Bengal in the north, and Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu in the south. Here tea gardens have been surveyed as such, and in Assam, it says 50% of India's tea output is from Assam. And here the tea gardens have fared well. There are not much concerns. West Bengal also the second largest tea producing state in the country after Assam, where Darjeeling tea estate is also located. This also has good amount of tea gardens in good state of health. But the southern states, there are concerns here. There have been some tea gardens which are not coming in the top slots. So now the identification has been taken place, and if there is any provision provided for them, it will come in news, we'll discuss. The next news item is big data power will spur nations to fight. So this is regarding big data. So big data is huge amount of data which is generated presently in this digital world. So this can be used for various purposes. So it says that traffic patterns can be predicted, crimes can be fought, and this will be useful for enterprises, businesses, nations, citizens. So it's huge, having huge amount of application. We have seen recently in the survey also, we have discussed about big data and how it was used to have analysis done on migration, etc., using railway information also. So all this is big data. So there are four V's of big data. That is huge amount of volume, the scale of the data, velocity, means analysis of streaming data, that the data which is moving, the velocity, variety, different forms of data, and veracity. Veracity is uncertainty of this data, that there are fill in the blanks also here. So this is the four V's of big data, and it has huge potential because digital world, so much of information data is present. What we need is computing capabilities to analyze this data and give fruitful results, derivation of some inferences out of it. So that is big data's usefulness. The last news item is RBI caps cash loan against gold at NBFC. So non-banking finance companies have been prohibited by RBI from lending more than 20,000 in cash against loan. Earlier this limit was of 1 lakh. Now this has brought down further, means you can give checks but not cash. Cash limit is only 20,000. So this, it says, is in line with the provisions of Income Tax Act, that now this will come into effect immediately. So what are these NBFCs do? Comparison with banks is being done. So these banks can accept deposit and withdrawal can be done on demand or by check. NBFCs carry financial business, but they cannot accept demand deposits. Means they don't have deposits which can be demanded by them any point of time. So here licensing requirement is stringent. You have to acquiring bank license is very difficult and tedious process and requires too many regulations to be adhered to. And here NBFCs, it is easy. It can easily, anybody can form an NBFC. Of course, there is regulation also there as such on them. Then limitations here, no non-banking activities can be carried out by banks, and they can, some aspect of non-banking activities, there are regulations, but they can take place. So they are also there. Foreign investment up to 74% is allowed in private sector banks. Here up to 100% is allowed. So they cannot have demand deposits, they cannot have checks issued, but they can give loans, and such financial services can be provided by them. So these are the news items. Thank you and happy Holi.